my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm the author of the young adult fantasy novel Firian Rising, and this is English Nerd. So today I thought I would give you 4 ways that you can raise the tension in your story. No matter what kind of story you're writing, a thriller, a romance, a fantasy, then you probably want to raise the tension and increase the pace of your story. People tend to love a fast-paced story, one that keeps them gripped and moving through. So here are 4 ways that you can accomplish that. Number 1 is to create a time limit for your character to accomplish their goals, a sort of ticking time bomb. So if you're writing a thriller or something of that kind, you can have a literal ticking time bomb. I'm thinking about some of the Mission Impossibles. They have 15 minutes to defuse this bomb before it goes off and everybody dies. But this is not just an idea that is for thrillers and stories with explosions in them. Even in something like a romance, having one character suddenly learn that they have to move away in 3 weeks or something gives a time limit to the goals that your characters are trying to accomplish. So anytime that there is a clock ticking down, that is going to create really excellent tension. I remember an episode of Doctor Who, it's one of the Weeping Angels episodes, and one of the characters just starts shouting numbers, and they realize that the character is counting down, but nobody knows what they're counting down to. So any variation of this is a great way to ratchet up that tension. Number 2 is to raise the stakes. So anytime that there is an additional thing at stake, automatically the tension is raised. So going back to the thriller example, if you have a character who is trying to stop an arms deal that will create a war between the US and the Middle East, for instance, that's already a really high stake for accomplishing the goal. If you want to raise the stakes, consider having one of the main character's loved ones get kidnapped for ransom. So now it's more of a personal kind of stake. Or having to overcome some kind of fear, traumatic experience that they've gone through or something. So again, this is not just for thriller, adventurous sort of genre. This can be for any type of story, just adding something else that's suddenly at stake. Will the business go under? Will they have to give away their dog? Will they turn permanently into some kind of animal? Whatever it may be, if you add something additional at stake, your tension will increase. Number 3, introduce new unanswered questions. I've heard this described as opening loops and closing them, but never having all of the loops closed at once. So I prefer to think about it as unanswered questions. You introduce a new unanswered question, and as you're answering this one, you open up a new one. So there's never any point in the story when everything seems all neatly tied up in a bow. There's always something that the reader wants to find out. So one of my favorite ways that authors will do this is by having a romantic subplot. My favorite kind of stories are generally the ones that are not straight up romances, but they are maybe a fantasy story that's adventurous and there's a kingdom at stake or something like that, but there's a romantic subplot, and the question is, will they, won't they? And that's a lot of what gets me through reading as quickly as possible to find out if they'll get together, and I'm going to assume that they will eventually in the story. So opening up those new unanswered questions, especially at the end of a chapter when it's a convenient time for your reader to close the book, is a great way to keep the tension high and keep a sense of mystery about your story that the reader really wants to solve. So that is number 3. Number 4 is to let your characters fail. Don't let them succeed at everything that they plan. Have them create some plan to solve their problem that you think, that the reader thinks will be the solution. This is the way that the characters will get together. This is the way that they'll take over the kingdom. This is the way, fill in blank here. But then have them fail completely. The more hopeless things look, the more the tension is raised. So don't be afraid to let your characters completely fail the first few times and just make it look like there's no hope for them. My favorite stories are the ones that get the most hopeless, and yet there is success at the end despite all of that. So let your characters fail. There are lots of other ways to create tension. If you know of a great thing that's worked for you, then put that in the comments below. Like this video if you like it, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!